The Brad Rules!
I have to say, when it comes to Sonic, what I am discovering in the fan game community has been dazzling and surprising me to no end, and exceeding what the official games have been providing. And there's one game that really stands out to me, and that's Sonic and the Fallen Star. Unlike a lot of Sonic fan games, Sonic and the Fallen Star is fully complete. Yes, it's actually one of the few Sonic fan games that is finished, and it's quite the experience. From the moment you turn on the game and hear that amazing main title screen music, you're filled with a sense of energy and can see the passion put into this game. The game's undeniable charm comes pouring through your screen at an alarming rate. This is something truly special. Let that main title screen theme be a hint of things to come, because the OST is simply phenomenal. And even if this game ends up not being your cup of tea, the music is sure to impress you. The story sees Sonic traveling to Starfall Island, which is interesting considering this game was released in 2022, the same year as Sonic Frontiers. And that game takes place on the Starfall Islands. Pluralization, coinky-dinks aside, Sonic and Eggman are racing to collect the pieces of a mythic star, which Eggman plans to use to destroy the island. You can pick Sonic or Tails, but strangely, you can't have Tails follow you when playing as Sonic. It is a really peculiar omission, especially when the game's numerous cutscenes show Sonic and Tails adventuring together. The sprites are just so good looking, and the overall aesthetics of the levels are just jaw-droppingly beautiful. This is an awe-inspiring game. Sonic and Tails have just the right level of change. They look very different from what we've seen in official 2D Sonic games, but not so much that the characters are unrecognizable or overdone, but just enough to give the game its own identity. They have a charming vibe to them, and they just work so well. I love Sonic's animations, from that crouch to how he positions himself for a drop dash. The controls are really spot on with the classic series and Mania. This is definitely a one-to-one recreation of that legendary gameplay style. There are cutscenes throughout the game, and while these are certainly a nice touch, I would have preferred they not be so zoomed in. I mean, honestly, at first I thought the resolution of the game got fucked up. I get that this was probably done to be more expressive and intimate with the characters, but this was never a problem in Mania or Sonic 3. We can see the characters just fine from a safe distance. There's no need to see every pixelated pore on Sonic's face. Don't get me wrong, I love the effort put into these cutscenes, but I would have preferred there not be this type of artistic expression added to what would have been perfect cutscenes had they not zoomed in so closely on the proceedings all the time. But sometimes the zoomed in effect does work nicely. After watching these cutscenes a few times more upon replaying stages and doing the Tails playthrough, I learned to appreciate them for their cinematic style, even though certain scenes would have benefited from better framing, and these cutscenes do such a great job of showing off the expressiveness of the characters. I love Tails teasing Sonic about the Amy billboard, and Sonic's annoyed face when Eggman is goofing around in his submarine. So let's run through these levels and see what this game has to offer. Sapphire Sights is the first stage, and is certainly in line with what makes for a great first stage in any Sonic game. It lets you stretch your legs and get your bearings, and there's certainly a hilltop zone vibe going on here. Tropical Tracks is where the game really starts to pick up with its vibrant aesthetic. I love combining a tropical setting with a highway. This is one of the most perfect Sonic aesthetics I can think of, and the awesome music that accompanies these two acts are very pleasing to the ears indeed. Discount's district is a city stage and I love it. The nighttime setting in Act 2 is vibe-inducing goodness, and I love the incorporation of rail grinding. Once again, the music is mesmerizing. I love the old-timey filter placed on the Act 2 track. This stage just gives me a really good feeling, and I love the design of both acts, and that Eggman boss fight is hilarious as he menaces you in a police car. Bubble Blossom has a really nice juxtaposition between the two acts, with Act 1 being rainy and gloomy, while Act 2 is blooming with life, and has an uplifting vibe. It's pretty odd that the bubbles are just for aesthetics and not for usage. You'd think you'd be able to bounce off of them, but you can't. This is the first water level, and it's a pretty well-designed act, and I really got a kick out of these elephant bandits, and I love Eggman going nuts spinning around in his summary. Frozen Fountain is next, and I don't know what it is, but snow and ice levels in Sonic games are always a vibe to behold. And Frozen Fountain is no different. I love the waterfalls, and you can see a city in the background. Is that Discount Districts? I think that it most likely is. Everything just comes together to create a beautiful atmosphere. And I love that chill as hell music. Act 2 gives us a factory where we can see cute Sonic and Tails statues being manufactured, and I love the atmospheric opening to the music here. And then we get an awesome guitar solo as things pick up in tone. I also really enjoyed the Sonic Colors reference for the Eggman boss fight. Gusty Greenhouse gives me Press Garden Act 2 vibes, and it's definitely an atmosphere to behold. This game really turned the vibe and aesthetic style up to 11. I love the backgrounds, and it's just a really beautiful level to look at. Metal Sonic takes center stage in Act 2 and teleports us to Stardust Speedway for a pretty cool fight. Carnival Crater reminds me greatly of Asteroid Coaster from Sonic Colors, and once again, it's a tremendously atmospheric stage where the aesthetic and music perfectly match. I also got Donkey Kong Country 2 vibes here, as I bounce on these badniks and balloons to make my way to the big ring to access a special stage. I almost expected to find a bonus barrel. Also, the Act 1 boss is pretty creepy to match with the hostile vibe of the stage. Raspberry River introduces a unique level mechanic where you can be shot out of a cannon and ride a flower downward. Act 2 is where it's at though, as we get an interpretation of the Golden City depicted in Sonic 1 concept art, and see a recreation of the Sun Loop. That's a cool concept, and we even get some statues of Max, who was originally supposed to be Sonic, and even makes a cameo during the Eggman boss fight. Thunder Turbine is the last full zone of the game, and it's a fitting final stage to cap things off with some complex level design and hazards abound. The Act 2 music is one hell of a fucking track and matches what you're seeing so well. And it's exactly what you want to hear as you're making your way toward the final confrontation with Eggman. I really like the final boss and the abstract nature of it. It kind of gives me an Undertale Deltarune type of vibe. It's definitely there if you know what I mean. If you collected all the Chaos Emeralds, you'll harness the power of the Mythic Star, and Sonic will transform into Nova Sonic, a brand new transformation which looks so damn cool. The true final boss is pretty challenging as your rings are not too plentiful and you will need to learn the boss's patterns. And he takes a lot of hits, and you can see his health meter displayed on his sprite. And you will be trying desperately to defeat him before Sonic runs out of rings. Hey, but wait, what if you're playing as Tails? Is there a Nova Tails? And the answer to that is a big nope. Because even though Tails can transform into Super Tails once you get all the emeralds, when you make it to this point, you'll just play the final fight as Nova Sonic anyway. Too bad there couldn't have been an alternate fight for Tails, like maybe Eggman dispatches a bandit to deal with Tails as he takes on Sonic to make it feel less cheap. So what about those special stages? Well, these don't seem to be too well liked by those who've played this game, but I actually enjoy them. They capitalize on Sonic's speed to make it to the Emerald while avoiding hazards, and while the 7 special stage is especially frustrating thanks to some touchy collision with the fans and the loops, there was many times I could have sworn I was positioned correctly only to fall off the stage. No matter how you feel about these special stages, you have to admit the music is absolute fire. Supersonic sprite is just shit. This is just an insanely good sprite, and the animation for him transforming is the best one by far. You can see the rage on display with such detail for a sprite. So there you have it, folks. Sonic and the Fallen Star is a fantastic fan game, and I absolutely love it. It's charming, well designed, beautiful to behold, and a memorable game to say the least. The game is certainly going for a vibe and charm that makes it stick out. But it's not just flash, it's substance too. And it's the perfect combination. The developers got their artistry across and still delivered on the goods in terms of gameplay and level design. This game is a winner in all departments. And even if this game isn't your vibe, you can still appreciate its ambition and musical mastery. With games like this, Sonic fan games continue to show us all that despite hazardous levels of toxicity within the overall fandom that is as rampant as ever, the fan game community is as amazing as ever. And that just about does it, guys. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bells to get all the notifications when I post all my new videos. I want to thank all my subscribers for your continued support. And thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.